always had a kind of emotional connection to my research that drives me, as well as an intellectual desire to analyze and figure things out. Probably the project that meant the most to me emotionally was my study of the Tiananmen Square protests in China in 1989. I was there, it was firsthand research. I was able to talk with students, interview them. I felt a kind of personal connection and a kind of ethical obligation to make sure that I reported accurately on their movement and make sure that the world understood it well. I think social scientists have a responsibility to help in achieving a better quality public debate and a stronger, more empirically informed public understanding of the big issues in our time, whether it's climate change or immigration or how the European Union does and doesn't work. I think that social science gives people something, but I think social scientists could do a better job of making their work accessible and informative to wider publics. After the September 11th attacks on the World Trade Center in 2001, I was involved in organizing a group of social scientists, 50 of the world's leading social scientists, to write short, clear essays based on their own different research knowledge to try to help people understand the events and their implications. What was going on with Al-Qaeda and how did a clandestine, potentially terrorist network operate? What were the risks with an invasion of Iraq? What were the issues of gender that shaped this? What about the nature of war today? And what's the role of spectacular events? And how does media even become a part of these international conflicts? More than 1.5 million people on average downloaded these essays. So one of the lessons it taught me was that if you try, you can reach a much wider audience with serious research-based knowledge. And if you only publish work for small groups of specialists, you risk having that work not have the influence it should have. What drives my research is the question of why it's hard to get from individual desires or preferences or values to a sustainable, large-scale social reality. What connects what we want as individuals to what we're able to accomplish in groups, whether it's in social movements or in a whole country. So I've looked at a variety of different cases, from student protest movements to working class struggles to the questions of how the financial crisis creates problems that are hard to solve. I've been particularly interested in nationalism and the difficulties people have making their countries as a whole live up to their aspirations for them. Well, I was happy to have the chance to start an Einstein research group, partly because of the very topics of the research, but partly because of the connections. Berlin is a great place for social science research, but it was good to be able to bring students together from the Free University, from FITCB, with the students at the Humboldt University and the BGSS. The Berlin projects are of very current importance, though they also are of fairly deep scientific importance and can go on for a number of years. The question of how the physical infrastructure of society shapes the way we live is a very basic one. Transportation, communications infrastructures have changed dramatically over hundreds of years of modernity, but also just in the last few years, as we now have the internet and we are constantly talking on our cell phones and using instant messaging. Well, how does that change the way that we relate to each other face to face? And how does it change the ways in which we use the physical spaces of cities? And how does it change the way in which people from different groups either do or do not get along with each other in those cities? I think the Einstein Foundation plays a role in connecting people from different institutions in Berlin, but also connecting Berlin to different centers around the world. And both of those are important because social science research doesn't advance in isolation. It advances in conversation, in debate, and in sharing knowledge. Berlin is a very strong center for social science research, but I think it has the potential to be an even better center. I think sometimes people in Berlin fall into the habit of staying within their own institution and not connecting up as much with the people in other institutions. And one thing that's good about the Einstein Fellowship is that it gets people out and connecting a little bit more. I think that Berlin can be one of the world's leading centers for social science research, as well as for other kinds of research.